Hi, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of our as yet untitled YouTube adventure. Um, Hopefully, by the time this is released, we will actually have a name. Wanted to start before we get into things with a quick disclaimer, content warning. We are going to be talking about weight loss and dieting, etc. So, if you are someone who is potentially going to be triggered by those conversations, suggest you tune out now. We also wanted to give a kind of disclaimer that we absolutely are not trying to prescribe any way of dieting or fitness or anything for anyone else. If you're happy with your body, that's amazing. But we are just going to be talking about our own personal journey, what we are doing, why we're doing it, things like that. So we're absolutely not going to try to tell you that you should do anything or that there is any specific way to do anything. But, again, just kind of a warning around that. We will be discussing weight loss, and it's really just going to be about our personal journey. So with that being said, my name is Joe.
I'm Alexis.
We are a husband and wife. We are both in our late 30s. I will be vague and say that.
Very late 30s.
Very late 30s. And we kind of wanted to sit down and, maybe see where this goes. But we're both embarking on a journey together and separately to an extent, but definitely at the same time. So we wanted to chronicle that. So this, series, which hopefully will turn into a series, is really for us as much as it is for anyone else. Hopefully we can maybe help some people who are going through similar things, but really more than anything, I think this is, mostly for us to document our journey and maybe hopefully help keep us accountable.
Yeah, I also would just like to build a community, find people who are like us, who are having the same struggles. I feel like, especially when you're in your very late 30s, it's hard to meet people that you.
Well, it's hard to meet people in general.
It's hard to
when
meet
you're in
people.
your 30s. Yeah, for sure.
But it's hard to meet people that you click with and who are on the same journey. So hopefully we can do that too.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
So I mean, this first episode, we really wanted to just kind of further introduce ourselves, talk about our histories with weight, and kind of why we are embarking on this journey, and then what this journey will look like for both of us. I mean, I guess I can start on that and just say that I've been fat all my life. When I was younger, I was always the fat kid. And honestly, for most of my life, it didn't really bother me, which is, I know, probably atypical. I mean, I had some people make fun of me here and there throughout my life, but I wasn't really heavily bullied in school. I mean, it is something that, I kind of have always been aware of, but I think it really didn't start hitting me until, I don't know, the past 10 years or so. I feel like that's really when I started feeling just physically less great and, kind of mentally less great as well as a result. I don't know. Honestly, I'm going to contradict myself and say that maybe I'm kidding myself about it not affecting me throughout my life. I mean, I just had an incident pop into my head from grade school where I this is a weird thing that I don't really know for sure what happened because memory is obviously not reliable.
Also, your memory is.
Also, my memory is notoriously terrible, but at the time as a child, there was an incident where I accused one of my teachers of calling me fat boy. I went to a Catholic grade school, and she was like a really mean old nun. And like, I thought I heard her say that when we were like coming back from recess or something. And it kind of became a thing. And it's one of those things where retroactively, I really like, she probably didn't. I probably misheard her, or maybe she did. But I feel like the fact that that was even an issue maybe suggests that it has been a problem from my life that I want to acknowledge. Anyway, I think really the more important thing to talk about, for me at least, though, is that I have always had issues with food. I think a lot of it for me stems from the fact that I was always spoiled throughout my life. Like, I was never really told no. When I was growing up, I always could have whatever I wanted to eat. I don't really know exactly where that comes from. But I never really learned how to eat nutritiously. And then as I got older, I like to say that I never learned how to eat like an adult, which I know might be, obviously there are issues tied to that. I know that there are a lot of issues with like food deserts and people not having access to, fresh produce, things like that. So I don't want to dismiss those issues by saying that I never learned how to eat like an adult. But what I mean when I say that is, anytime we go out to a restaurant, even to this day, instead of ordering like something off of their entree menu, which is usually like a protein and vegetable and starch, the kind of meal you're supposed to be building according to nutritionists, I always want to order a sandwich or like nachos or pizza or like a fun food, as I think I'm going to kind of come around to calling it. Which, I mean, those things are fine once in a while, but I feel like for most of my adult life, that has comprised most of my diet. And I haven't really kind of learned how to eat vegetables and really balance things. And so, yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of been my journey.
So I don't know if I was always fat. I was always like a thick little kid. I was like,
Oh, she thick.
Oh, we, hearty German stock or whatever. But anyway, I know the first time that I realized that I was bigger than other people, I was 9. And it was one of my, friends. I don't know why you would say this to a person, but she's like, you're kind of getting fat.
Oh boy, wow.
And I was 9. And I think that's the first time that I realized that I was like a bigger person. And then after that, it kind of just stuck in my head, and I feel like it kind of fed into everything you get fed by the world when you're a girl,
Yeah, I mean, that's an important thing to talk about, is that I feel like it is much harder for women than it is for men.
I don't really disagree with you about that.
I mean, it's true.
But like, and then in high school and junior high, I was kind of always on a diet or ashamed by the food I was eating. All of my friends were, looking back, I was a normal, mostly maybe a little bit chubby kid or whatever, but all of my friends were very thin. So I was like the fat friend. And I, was not popular, and I was not, I kind of was the kid that just blended into the background. So I feel like that hurt my sense of brain words.
Your self-confidence?
My confidence, yeah.
Your like sense of self-worth?
My sense of self-worth and my confidence. Yeah, so, and then, as you age and you start dating, especially in the age of the internet and dating apps and things, you kind of get I don't know if you've ever tried to date as a plus size woman. It sucks. It's not fun. Men are pigs.
Yeah.
Sorry, men. You are.
No, it's true. I've seen and heard lots of things.
Let me rephrase that. We can edit that out. Sometimes men are pigs.
Well, no, listen. Let's not hashtag not all men this, because I think that, I mean, like I said, as a man, I recognize that it is much harder for a woman to be larger than it is for a man. Just in general. I mean, it's, obviously it's great. There have been all these conversations, especially over the last few years, about body positivity and things like that. But, I mean, just media portrayals of women have always been much more unrealistic than men. I mean, there's the trope, which, I mean, people have started to comment on now, on sitcoms. There's like the fat schlubby dude and his like super hot skinny wife. Like, it was groundbreaking a few years ago when there was that Mike and Molly show with Melissa McCarthy, because it was two fat people together. Oh my God.
Two fats. What?
And like, but yeah, I mean, so in that respect, like in general, I feel like there's more pressure on women to be thinner. But also what I think you're getting at is that I think it works both ways. I think a lot of times women have lower self-esteem and therefore allow themselves to get into less than ideal relationships and situations.
Oh yes, that's definitely been a thing.
But also there are a lot of men who are assholes who think that they can treat larger women in terrible ways.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's terrible.
That's what I'm saying.
And
also just dating in general is terrible. It's not
like I don't want to speak on your behalf. So.
Yeah.
Sorry. But I mean, but we found each other. We've been
through one of those terrible
dating apps. We've been together for about 7 years exactly right now. We met like almost exactly 7 years ago. Actually, beginning of January 2016. Mm-hmm. So, and we've been married it will be 5 years this fall.
I'm looking at our wedding date right now.
I'm like, wow, it's 2023.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, we're super glad we found each other.
Yeah.
We both think we're pretty cool.
I think Joe's pretty good.
I like to think that neither of us are giant a-holes.
Yeah, most of the time.
Yeah. But yeah, I was going to say something and I'm totally blanking right now about us being together and stuff.
I just find that it was a miracle that we found each other.
I agree.
We found love in a hopeless place.
We did.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rihanna.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, I mean, you have...
No, I mean, that's it. I just think that I could go on for days about society and how we treat people who are bigger, and especially women, but if you're watching this, you probably know that, and I don't need to tell you.
Yes.
Yeah. So the other issues we wanted to talk about are, why are we doing this now? Like, what's going on in our lives that are making us want to make some changes, and what issues are coming up that is making it hard to live in the bodies that we're in.
Yes. And I think, I mean, again, going back to what I said at the beginning, as far as, if you're a bigger person and you're healthy and you're comfortable and you're happy, more power to you. We are absolutely not going to say that anyone should try to lose weight. You do you, but we are both at a place in our life where we are not happy and healthy and all those things. I mean, for me personally, I just feel bad most of the time. Like I'm tired all day, every day. I just feel like I'm not physically capable of doing things that I want to do, even like fairly normal things. A big thing is I feel uncomfortable going like to a restaurant and trying to cram into a booth, which I mean, I know this is something Alexis is probably going to talk about too. Or, one of the things that Alexis and I really like doing together is going to like concerts or occasionally hockey games. And seats in most of these venues are not made for fat people. And it can be, extremely uncomfortable, especially if you're sitting next to some random person and you're like trying not to have your fat touch them. It's kind of dehumanizing, and it's just terrible. And for me, I know that we said that we're both in our late 30s. I am coming up on 40 in the next month.
Rapidly.
Very rapidly. And I mean, honestly, a big factor for me is I have a terrible family history of heart disease. My grandpa on my dad's side just dropped dead at 72 of a heart attack. My dad has had he had a quadruple bypass, actually, no, triple bypass surgery, like 20 years ago, maybe even longer. Yeah, it was longer ago. But when he was in his mid 30s, he started having to have angiograms and all kinds of heart stuff. So my whole life pretty much he has had coronary concerns and issues. And I just coming up on 40, I know it's probably already too late, but it's never really too late to make changes. And I just, for my overall health, for my physical health, for my mental health, I feel like this is it. This is kind of the last straw. I mean, one other thing, which I don't know if we want to get too detailed on right now, is that even though we are both pushing 40, we were just talking earlier today that we're still a little up in the air about maybe possibly trying to have kids in the near future.
Which is impossible, right?
And that's just impossible with both of us being, how we are. One last thing, this is what I was going to say earlier, which I forgot, is I do just want to acknowledge that we are recording this behind real time. So this will probably get posted about a month after it's recorded. Right now it's January 15th, 2023. So just putting this marker in there. But yeah, just so you know, we are a little bit behind where this will actually be posted. Alexis, I'll hand off to you to talk about your why.
So, I don't have any my family has a history of diabetes and heart disease and things like that. Not, I think, as extensively as your family does. But, I also don't really have, I don't have hypertension. I don't have diabetes. All of my labs, for the most part, look pretty clear. My health is okay. It's really just my quality of life. Like Joe was talking about, we love going to live music, see live music. We love, getting outside and being active. But it's become absolutely physically impossible to do that. Over the last couple years with the pandemic, it has become, we've both kind of, I can't speak for you either. I have gained 100 pounds in 2 years. And I'm the heaviest I've ever been, and it's hard to walk our dog down the block. I go down the block, he goes pee, and we come back. There's not a whole lot of, I feel bad for our dog. But I can't do the things I want to do. I can't enjoy my life. I'm still a young person. And I'm miserable. I'm absolutely miserable. And, those are the big reasons. I have a whole list of, things that don't have to do with my weight that if I did lose weight, would be easier or that I could do. And it's when you get as big as I am right now, you don't realize the things that you can't do. You don't realize that walking to your mailbox to get the mail is going to be a struggle. And it's hard to understand that if it's not happening to you. But those are really I'm a young person. I'm not elderly, but I feel old. My joints hurt. I'm in pain all the time. I'm out of breath all the time. I'm short of breath, when I'm moving around. Joe and I cleaned the house yesterday, and I had to take breaks every 5 minutes because, I couldn't do it. It's just cleaning the house. It shouldn't be that big of a deal. And, you know, like, there's so much I want to do. I want to travel. We can't travel right now. There's
No.
no way we can travel. And there is, you know, the world should be more accommodating to people in bigger bodies, like in air travel or like at concerts and things like that. But at the same time, like, I want to feel better. I physically feel terrible. So that's the main reason that I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's fair. Just acknowledge I have a sweat mark going
You
on
got a
the
sweat
table right
pile.
now, so that's something that hopefully will
Puddle of
change going
sweat.
forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think those are valid points.
Yeah. So what are we doing about it? Like, what are we trying to? What's going on?
Well, that's the question. You know, we both are at a point where we definitely feel like we need to make changes. We are taking different approaches, though. I am going to be trying to lose weight just basically through diet and exercise. And I mean, this is maybe something I should have talked about when I was talking about my history of being fat, but I 6, 7 years ago now, I'm bad at math. 8 years ago, 2015, I think it was. I actually lost 100 pounds over the span of about a year and a half, just through diet and exercise. So I know it's possible. I will say that at that time, I was probably taking it to a slightly unhealthy extreme. I was eating probably about 14 to 1500 calories a day and working out for at least an hour, usually more, like every single day. So a little bit crazy. I did subsequently go on to regain all of that weight. I know you had said that you gained a lot of weight during the pandemic. I have gained like 40 or 50 pounds in the past couple of years, which is not nothing. I mean, I know a big problem that I have had personally is that I've just gotten too comfortable with drinking alcohol over the past few years during the pandemic. So that's something that I'm working on too. But one thing that I feel like is kind of weird about me, which Alexis, I know you've said that you've mentioned this to people too, is that even after I've gained all the weight, you know, after I gained back the weight I lost over the past like 8 years or so, I have still worked out pretty regularly. Like, I honestly feel like I exercise more than anyone else I know.
He does. He works out like 5 to 6 days a week, like,
And
consistently.
like it's gotten harder over the past few months, which I have actually gained some weight over the past like 6 months or so. But because I have exercised consistently, I feel like I'm still capable of exercising. And so, long story short, my approach is going to be I'm going to be doing the Mediterranean diet, which is consistently rated as kind of the healthiest diet for just general health markers. And that mostly consists of trying to eat a mostly plant based diet, trying to really cutting back on red meat, eating like poultry in moderation, eating more fish, eating healthy carbs, you know, trying not to eat a lot of refined sugars and things like that. But what I like about it is it feels sustainable. You know, it doesn't say don't eat certain things ever. It's just trying to eat more whole foods, more nutritious foods, which I feel like everyone should be trying to do anyway. So that paired with, you know, regular exercise, I am going to be tracking my calories through MyFitnessPal, just to make sure I'm maintaining a deficit. People can debate this all day long, but I do feel like you need to maintain a caloric deficit in order to lose weight. But unlike when I lost that 100 pounds before, I'm not trying to do anything crazy. Like right now with MyFitnessPal, my base daily goal is like 1900 and some calories. So I'm not trying to go crazy low. I'm really just going to be trying to focus on consistency, both in, you know, eating nutritious foods and exercising and kind of see where that takes me. And I'm hoping that it's something that I can stick with in the long term. I mean, I mentioned alcohol, but I am also trying to cut way back on that right now. My birthday is about a little over a month from now, so I'm going to try to not really drink between now and then. We'll probably have a couple drinks for my birthday, and then, after that, try to just keep moderating that and, not really make that a regular thing.
Yeah. Well, and you say that, let's also make clear that you're not like a fall down drunk alcoholic or anything.
No, I mean, I don't think I, would classify as an alcoholic. I think, over the course of the pandemic, I think a lot of people just kind of became more comfortable with drinking. I mean, part of my thing is that I got interested in whiskey and like exploring the world thereof. And I'm a nerd, so my nerd brain kind of latched onto that and just wanted to try all the different things. So, I mean, yeah, I wasn't like getting drunk on a regular basis or anything like that, but I would have, a couple pours of whiskey a couple nights a week. My biggest problem surrounding alcohol, which is something that I know you don't have, is if I have like one or two drinks, I just get ravenous. Like, I don't even have to be drunk. Like, it just like unlocks something in my brain where I just want to eat all the things. So that's really, I mean, that's the main reason I'm really trying to cut it out, at least for periods of time, is just so I don't have that response. I mean, I do want to be able to enjoy it in moderation, but I just, for now, to really kind of get a head start on things, I think I need to just cut that out.
Yeah. Yeah, and I will be, I'm having gastric sleeve surgery. It's the vertical sleeve gastrectomy. That's what it is.
Sounds so fancy.
It is fancy. So basically what they do is they take your stomach and they make it about the size of a cheese stick. And, through restriction, basically, you lose weight. And I've come to that by, I've done every diet you can think of. I could have done every diet, and with varying degrees of success. And I'm just at a point now where this is what needs to happen, and that's what we're doing. I looked into it, and after being kind of doubtful about it for a long time, like I always said that wasn't for me, but I'm at the point where this is for me, this is what's best. So yeah, that's the plan. That happens in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, about a week and a half.
About a week and a half.
Yeah.
So we'll be documenting that too, and I'm excited about it, and I am nervous, and I have gone through, like, just in the last couple days, because I'm on the 2 weeks before you have to go on a kind of like restricted diet, and for me it's basically like a low carbohydrate, almost keto like diet, and it has been, yesterday was like a really emotional day for me for some reason.
Yeah.
I was not a nice person.
You were fine.
I was really just sad, and just like it just kind of hit me like how emotionally attached I am to food. And because we were, it's winter in Michigan, and it's cold outside, and it's like we were cleaning the house, and there was just kind of nothing to, the food is the thing that brightens my day. Like that's what it is. And it shouldn't be, but it is.
Yeah.
So I was like, having this like morning. So the last couple of days have been kind of weird, and I'm anticipating that it will get worse before it gets better.
It's not going to be easy.
No, and obviously.
Yeah.
I'm saying that more for you than it is.
No, I know. I mean, and it's it's going to be a weird process for me too. Like I got emotional earlier today, kind of thinking about things, and I mean, this is this is going to be a big change for both of us. It's going to be hard.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be worth it.
But I think, and we've talked about this a lot, the fact that I'm going to be, for a while, I'm not going to be able to eat like a normal person. I probably will never be able to eat like that. But especially right after surgery, there's, you're on a liquid diet and then you're on a soft diet, puree, whatever. That's going to keep, us from going out to eat.
Yeah.
And that's going to...
Well, and that's... sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
It's going to change the way we eat together.
Yeah. And, I mean, that's something to acknowledge, too, is two fat people being in a relationship with each other, it can become kind of a vicious cycle of enablement.
Yes.
I mean, we have had it both ways many times where, usually it's we're both trying to eat healthier and like we'll both be doing well for like a few days and then one of us is like, oh man, I really want pizza, or oh
boy, I sure had a bad day at work today.
Oh,
I would love some pizza.
Yeah, and and it's like the other one, it's hard because I don't want to talk about willpower because that's a whole thing, but yeah, it is hard because one of us will have this craving and vocalize it, and the other one will usually be like, oh man, I want that too. And then we just do it. And it's hard. But yeah, I do think that this will be helpful for both of us as far as kind of breaking that cycle. I mean, the other thing too that I think is important as far as talking about what we're doing, which this is actually part of it.
Yeah.
But you were talking about how, food is like a comfort, especially at the end of the day or whatever, like yesterday, that it's like, I mean, one thing that we're both trying to do is find other outlets for our feelings and like trying to do things with our time other than like sit on the couch and stuff our faces. And I mean, I talk about routine a lot, and I think that's one of my biggest problems is that I have a tendency to fall into these routines and then it's hard to get out of them. And for the longest time, our routine was we're both sitting on the couch by like 7 p.m. just mindlessly watching TV, and usually that leads to mindlessly snacking and grazing on food. So, I mean, an important part of this journey, I think, is trying to fill that time with more engaging, meaningful, purposeful activities.
I think that's something we'll talk about more in future.
Absolutely.
Yeah, in the future.
Yes.
Yeah. But yes.
But yeah, I mean, that's where we're coming from, where we've been, kind of where we're heading in the immediate future. I think our next episode we're maybe going to record like right before Alexis's surgery.
Yeah.
Just to kind of get, feelings. It might be a weird emotional episode going into that.
Let's cry.
Let's cry on camera. I mean, shoot. Wouldn't be the first time I've cried on air.
No.
But did you have anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that's a good start. So hopefully this will be an ongoing series. Hopefully someone somewhere out there is watching this and would like to come on our journey with us. So until next time, thanks for watching and hope you all have a good day.